With these can-do videos, you'll see real-life situations where you have to introduce yourself, talk about your family, or give your contact information. So, by the end, you can do them yourself in Chinese. This video is a small portion of our can-do course. To get the full course, including translations, grammar tools, and assessment tests, click the link in the description. Welcome to Can Do Chinese by ChineseClass101.com.
大家好，我是李音如。Hi everyone, I'm Yinru Li. In this lesson, you will learn how to ask what a word is in Chinese.
This is Ben Li, and he's at a cafe doing a language exchange with his classmate, Lu Liu. It's the Chinese portion of their language exchange, and he points at the textbook and asks, "How do you say textbook in Chinese?"
Textbook 用中文怎么说？
Listen to the conversation and focus on the question. Ready?
Textbook 用中文怎么说？
课本
Once more with the English translation.
Textbook 用中文怎么说？
How do you say textbook in Chinese?
课本
Textbook. Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool, so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Ben asks, "How do you say textbook in Chinese?"
Textbook 用中文怎么说？
First is the English word textbook. Next is
用
to use.
用
After that is
中文
Chinese, as in the Chinese language or writing.
中文
Together,
用中文
using Chinese, or, in more natural English, in Chinese.
用中文
Next is
怎么
meaning how.
怎么
Last is
说
to say.
说
Together,
怎么说
literally how to say, but translating as how do you say.
怎么说
Altogether,
Textbook 用中文怎么说
literally, textbook using Chinese how to say. But it translates as, how do you say textbook in Chinese?
Textbook 用中文怎么说？
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Lu tells Ben the Chinese word for textbook?
课本 课本
Textbook.
课本 课本
The pattern is
English word 用中文怎么说
how do you say English word in Chinese?
English word 用中文怎么说
To use this question pattern, simply replace the English word placeholder with the word you want to know. Imagine you want to know the Chinese word for pen. Ask, how do you say pen in Chinese? Ready?
pen 用中文怎么说
How do you say pen in Chinese?
pen 用中文怎么说
When you don't know how to call something in Chinese and you want to keep the conversation in Chinese, you can point and say, how do you say this in Chinese?
Simply replace the English word with
这个
meaning this.
这个这个这个用中文怎么说
How do you say this in Chinese?
这个用中文怎么说
If the thing is far away from you, use
那个
that.
那个那个那个用中文怎么说
How do you say that in Chinese?
那个用中文怎么说
Pronunciation note. There are two ways to pronounce this and that in Chinese. For this,
这个
or
这个
for that,
那个
or
那个这个
and
那个
are used more often in colloquial speech. Keeping the conversation in Chinese as long as possible is a great tactic to learn Chinese. Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
textbook 用中文怎么说
课本、
textbook 用中文怎么说 pen 用中文怎么说
笔、
pen 用中文怎么说这个用中文怎么说
筷子、
这个用中文怎么说那个用中文怎么说
铅笔、
那个用中文怎么说
这个的中文是什么？
是课本、
这个的中文是什么？ Did you notice I use a different pattern?
Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool, so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can-Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
"这个的中文是什么？
What's this in Chinese? First is
这个
this.
这个
Next is the possessive marking particle
的的的
After that is
中文
Chinese language.
中文
Together,
这个的中文
literally means the Chinese of this, but translates as the Chinese for this.
这个的中文
Next is
是
here, think of it like the is, as in the Chinese for this is,
是是
Last is
什么
what.
什么什么
Altogether,
这个的中文是什么
literally, the Chinese of this is what. But it translates as, what's this in Chinese?
这个的中文是什么
What's this in Chinese?
这个的中文是什么
This is a very useful pattern for using Chinese to learn Chinese. You should be aware of this pattern, but you won't need it for this lesson. Let's review the key vocabulary.
笔
Pen,
笔笔筷子
chopsticks,
筷子筷子铅笔
pencil,
铅笔铅笔这个
this,
这个这个那个
that,
那个那个
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say to say? 说说 And how to say how to? 怎么怎么 Do you remember how to say Chinese? 中文中文 And how to say to use? 用用 Do you remember how Ben says, how do you say textbook in Chinese?
Textbook 用中文怎么说
Textbook 用中文怎么说 Do you remember the word for textbook? 课本课本 And how to say this? 这个这个
Let's practice. Imagine you're Karen Lee, and you're having a language exchange lunch with Min Chao. Ask, how do you say chopsticks in Chinese? Ready?
Chopsticks 用中文怎么说？筷子
Listen again and repeat.
Chopsticks 用中文怎么说？Chopsticks 用中文怎么说？
Now you want to know the word for pen in Chinese. Ready?
pen 用中文怎么说？笔
Listen again and repeat.
pen 用中文怎么说？ pen 用中文怎么说？
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Sasha Lee, and you're studying with a classmate. Point to a nearby pencil and ask how to say this in Chinese. Ready?
这个用中文怎么说？铅笔。
Listen again and repeat.
这个用中文怎么说？这个用中文怎么说？
This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Now you know how to ask how you say something in Chinese. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.